Greetings, Saber fans. It's your old pal, enthusiast. And this week we got something real special. We're going to interview some Saber nerd. Nerds out there, we're going to interview you one at a time before we get through them all. You need to know those Saber nerds. You know, it's good to get to know your fellow Saber enthusiasts because you never know when somebody like Uncle Luke's going to come and strike you down. Or try to strike you down. Ah! That Saber's cool.
I will do what I must. You will try.
This is the bill that made my grandfather the great man he is.
Revenge is not the
My
Jedi
grandfather
way.
or something. I guess she's my cousin or something.
Jedi.
Traitor!
Do what I must.
Then you will die.
Grandfather.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
You ain't killed 30 kids with it.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
The weapon of the Jedi Knight. Clumsy or rambling. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
What's up with Ben and Luke? I was trying to kill my people, man. See, there's good old Uncle Luke trying to take out my family.
Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Palpatine's kind of a jerk. What's up, cuz? The Darksaber is kind of awesome. You know, I hate to admit this, but Uncle Luke obviously inherited some great skills from my grandfather. Yeah, there's an awesome lightsaber.
You're so right.
You people think I'd put in a clip of Mary Sue beating me in the woods? Fat chance on that. See you next time, suckers.
Greetings, Saber fans. We're live. Welcome to episode 1 of Meet Your Saber Nerds. I'm going to try to make this show bi-weekly, I hope. And, initially we could go to every week if it turns out that it's successful. And what I'd like to do is, I've been doing these Megtooth Monday lives and Tooth Tuesday lives for a long time and building lightsabers live. But what I really wanted to do is interact with people. And so far I've only been able to interact with people on chat. But now with this, with this new forum, I get to interact with y'all in person. So tonight, we're going to be meeting a Saber enthusiast, and his name is Bobby Susenbach. And I first met Bobby. I was building a Graflex series. I built a New Hope Graflex, ESB Graflex, and a TFA Graflex. And Bobby messaged me and he says, "Hey, I want to buy that TFA Graflex." And I'm like, "Sure, go ahead." And he bought it and he loved it. And the cool thing about Bobby is, unlike most other Saber people that buy these proffie sabers, Bobby actually figured out the coding and stuff on his own. And he had some coding in his background. And, Bobby started coding his own sabers. And then Bobby started buying more sabers. Bobby's made his own MHS sabers. So we kind of turned him into a nightmare. And it all started with his TFA Graflex. And, Bobby's got a pretty cool background, but he's just like us. He's an older guy. He's about my age. We'll find out here in a minute. Let's bring in Bobby Susenbach. So everybody welcome Bobby to the show. Hey, Bobby.
Hi. How's
What's
everybody?
happening?
Oh, just glad to be here.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you. So, the cool thing is like a lot of our our frequent viewers that, you're normally on Monday Lives with, here they are, and they're all, they're all giving you, some credits here. So it's pretty cool. Mundo's on there. So it's pretty cool. A lot of our normal viewers that are on Megtooth Monday are on here. And I hope to have all of them on these Tuesday Saber Nerd episodes too. So kind of want to, kind of start this off with some questions and kind of find out more about Bobby. And, we want to have more people on, including, I see Mountain Sabers just signed in. Ken of the Hill just signed in. Mountain Sabers, we want to try to have him on next week. So, we'll do that. But right now, let's just start off. And if this ends up devolving into conversations, about other stuff, or we get distracted, then whatever. I mean, this is going to go wherever it goes. That's the cool part about all this is that, we can kind of make it go wherever it goes. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So, it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate, number one, where on the planet Earth, Bobby, are you from?
I live in the Panhandle of Florida, near Destin, Florida. So,
Oh, near Destin, Florida, like up. How far away is that from Tallahassee?
about 2 hours. We're west
About
of
2 hours.
Tallahassee. So, yeah.
That's cool. So y'all having good weather there today? Because it was like 80 degrees here today.
Yeah, it was gorgeous here too. It was beautiful. So.
Yeah, it was hot. It was like crazy hot and sunny. So, what's your profession? What's your day job?
I work for the Department of Defense, testing software for aircraft like the F-15, F-16, F-22, F-35. So I try to break the software before they put it in the jets, so it won't break when they're flying it.
So is that software work, when you work for the Department of Defense, is that kind of what helped you navigate, the proffie OS and C++ and all that garbage?
Right, exactly. It didn't hurt. It helped a lot. So.
Yeah, well, there's not many people that have bought Sabers that are like, hey, man, I'm going to start programming them. I've seen you and Max, are the big two that I know of that definitely started programming your own stuff.
Yeah. The software is kind of new to me. My background's in mechanical engineering and systems engineering. So I went to University.
That's funny because your background is what I wish my primary job was. In fact, you and I have talked offline, and I kind of want to move down to your neck of the woods when I retire from my current day job and work in the aerospace industry like you, but on a little bit different of a angle. I want to help. I want to help people get to Mars. Yeah, so
that's cool. That's cool.
Which is pretty cool because y'all know that stuff's happening down in Boca Chica, Texas right now. It's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it's great to see. So what Max says, Bobby Susenbach, so develop ops or UAT? I don't even know what that is.
I'm not sure either. But there's developmental software that I work with, if that's what he's asking. So.
Developmental software. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. So how old were you when you first saw Star Wars?
How old was I? I guess I was 6 years old. So I saw the original in the theater.
So I guess you and I are the same age. What are you, 51?
Yeah, I'm 49. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, we're relatively the same age. I figured that. I saw A New Hope in the theaters too. So, I was, I don't know.
Maybe Jungle Book might have beat it out, but I think that was the first or second movie I saw in the theater. So.
That's awesome. Hey, Lincoln, I see you there. So, who's your favorite Star Wars character out of all the movies?
Luke, of course.
Luke. Oh, come on now.
Yeah,
Luke's your favorite. What did you think about in the trailer when I had Luke in there? That scene from Mando.
Funny. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, and Kylo was saying, "Yeah, I guess he did inherit some cool skills from Grandpa, right?" That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Luke's the one.
What's your favorite color of a lightsaber?
Blue.
Blue.
Yep.
So, did you like Luke's Graflex, or did you like Luke's Hero better, or the V2?
Graflex.
The Graflex.
Yep.
That's a good choice.
I love the Hoth scene on Empire. Empire's my favorite movie. So.
This is a good choice.
Oh yeah.
So that's my New Hope Graflex. That's the one with the mentor in it. That's awesome. That's a great choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so cool. Let's see what we got next. So what hilt is your favorite hilt out of all the hilts in all the movies?
Definitely Graflex.
Graflex. Yeah, me and you and me we're cooking with oil because Graflex. I'm Graflex and Crossguard, but in DV6, but DV6 is a Graflex too. So were cool there too.
Yep.
So when did you find out about custom lightsabers? And if you know the year, try to talk about when you found out about them.
It's been about 5 years ago. I think I started watching the East Coast Sabers. What's the fellow's name? I can't remember his name.
I don't remember his name on East Coast Sabers, but I watched his channel too, like the Let's Build a Graplex series.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, that's the series I watched to learn how to, I was watching that series to learn how to install those Graplex 2.0 and 2.5 kits like I built for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really good at building those kits out. And, I got it from East Coast Sabers. I mean, that's where I learned how to build those kits. That and watching Shamim, learning how to wire up nanoviscottis and prisms and stuff like that back in the old days with Shamim. And, actually my first Graplex builds were in-hilt LEDs. They weren't NeoPixel sabers. So that's pretty awesome. We're cooking with oil there. So what soundboards have you used in your lightsabers?
I attempted a crystal focus, but I burned it up.
Well, you tried to solder it in yourself?
Yeah. That was one of my first tries, and I smoked it pretty good. And then proffie, of course, is what I have most experience with. And then Verso. I've got one saber that has Verso in it. So,
Which I think I installed that one too, didn't I? That was the Finn Jedi or Finn Jedi, I think.
Finn Jedi, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we got an appointment to upgrade that one to proffie in the future.
Yes.
So what do you like better? Because I don't want to get into trashing boards, because I think and that Verso was the first Verso I installed, and I was actually, kind of impressed with the capabilities of Verso. For a beginner soundboard, I thought Verso was pretty much spot on. It was a pretty decent
cost
board.
And the easy, it's easy to install. It looks like it'd be easy to install.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to install, but there's something still that I can't get a hold on. Even with Crystal Focus, there's just something more with the sound in a proffie board that's just, to me, it's more alive. And but these other soundboards, they're just as good as proffie. I don't know. It's a personal thing. Who knows with me, but
I haven't used a crystal focus yet, so I can't really. The only one I can speak to is Verso and proffie, really.
Well,
but
that's
proffie's
cool.
number one in my book. So.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't get the crystal focus working, because I've installed some crystal focuses too, and crystal focuses are pretty awesome. So have you ever dueled with lightsabers, like professionally? Have you ever tried that?
I haven't dueled except with some kids. That's the only time I've ever dueled.
Is with kids?
No serious dueling now.
I've done some dueling with children. It's kind of like sometimes you feel bad.
I get nervous when people hit my lightsaber. So.
Yeah, well, we can build you a blade that can take that.
Right.
As long as it's a 1-inch blade. So do you ever do like Saber flow?
No, I'm not really sure what that is. I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Saber flow is like, there's people on the, they twirl their lightsabers and they, flip them around and catch them and toss them, and they're flowing.
I've never done that. No.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of, like, if you watch enough like Universal Lightsaber Channel or some of those, you'll see every now and then somebody will post a flow video, and some of them are actually pretty impressive.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, but not a lot of people do that. Have you ever built, installed, or programmed your own lightsaber?
Yeah. The most recent was the OB3, Corbanth OB3. And that was the first time I actually did it all by myself. So, and I have an MHS that you helped me with. I started it and you finished it. So.
How did the the MHS saber you built was pretty cool. And I think actually one of the videos on my channel is one of the videos on my channel was actually fixing the clocking on yours. So my clocking video that's on my YouTube channel was fixing your MHS saber. Yeah. But how'd your OB3 turn out that you built?
It turned out really good. I was impressed. It was very easy to install. I had the Eco with crystal chambers.
From KR Sabers?
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool. And so the install went pretty smooth?
Yeah, it went smooth. It really did. I thought it was going to be worse than it was, but being a thin neck, it's very sturdy, and it was easy to install. Surprisingly.
Now, did you have to do a recessed blade target in your blade, or did you?
I did not, because there's
enough
blade room in it. I don't know how far it is. About 1.25 inches, probably. Yeah.
Oh, so it's got some. It's got a lot more room. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
It has this little area here, so it makes it longer.
Oh, that's cool. So I've installed an OB episode 3 from Corbant, and it didn't have that. The one that the guy shipped me, it had that, typical short blade socket length. And so I had to build a recessed blade with the target recessed into the blade. So the blade actually went around the PCB to give it as maximum, blade depth. But, those are definitely
pretty ingenious the way you did that. I liked it.
Yeah, I've definitely built those. Those thin necks are tough to build, so that's pretty cool that you took on that challenge.
Yeah.
And hey, what kind of a soldering iron do you have?
I have I can't remember whatever the popular one is. Heika, is it right? Yeah, Heika. All right.
Heiko, that is. I mean, you can tell Bobby's been paying attention because Heiko is pretty much like the go-to for everybody that's making those. So Kendall Hall, it's not a new camera setup. It's actually just the webcam on my computer, and I'm at a different angle, because I got my back to my workbench. And now Bobby's got a brand new camera. That's a brand new web camera that he just got so we could do this video. So Rich loves those thin necks, he said. The funny thing is, Rich is trying to talk me into installing a LS6, from Luke Skywalker's. That's the Gullwing version that Corbanth made. And that LS6 is considered like one of the biggest challenges in all of the Saber community for installing. And Rich is like, he installs the mess out of those LS6s. So, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But hey, thanks, Kendall. But yeah, those thin necks that's a tough install. That's pretty cool. So who's your favorite installer?
Of course, the Back 2 set. It's the only one I've ever used.
I knew I invited you on for a reason. That's awesome. It's cool. You have quite a few of my sabers, and hey, thanks, Mountain Sabers. You've got quite a few of my sabers, and I'm pretty proud that you have my sabers. That you're running them, and I'm looking forward to maybe updating that one with proffie. That'd be pretty cool. But I appreciate that you watch my channel, and that maybe even my videos might have helped you install your your
lifeline. So if it wasn't for you, I'd be in trouble. So
well, that's the whole cool thing. So Bobby, what I'm hoping is someday you're in a position to pay it forward. Some of the knowledge, and I know you're still soaking everything in, but paying it forward, that's definitely cool. You can see, everybody's in agreement on your soldering iron. There's Max is throwing it out there. That Heiko is cool, but I don't even have a Heiko, man. I hear you, Moneybox. The Department of Defense is working good. So do you prefer NeoPixels or baselit lightsabers?
That's all I've ever had, NeoPixels.
NeoPixels. Yeah. NeoPixels are awesome, and I was one of the first open source NeoPixels installers out there, but I was actually installing lightsabers before NeoPixels. And I think there's some older videos. It's either on this channel or on my diving channel that show me actually testing, NeoPixel blades before the adapters were even designed. So, the NeoPixels, everybody, it was so funny, Bobby, because when they first came out, like all the old school Saber people were like, these NeoPixels are a fad. This isn't going to have any staying power. And the reason they were saying that is because there used to be these lightsaber blades that were made out of EL wire. And EL wire is basically like this wire, and it glows when you run a current through it at a certain frequency. And it's not very bright. And everybody that got into EL wire spent a lot of money and converted their sabers to EL, and then the EL wire just really wasn't getting it. You know what I mean? It wasn't good. So they saw that fad, and they're like, either string blades or in hilts the only way to go. These NeoPixels are a fad. And ooh, hey, Chet Osborne, hang on a minute. Since you said IntelliBlade, I want to see if I can find it. I thought I had it laying over here somewhere. That's funny. I was thinking about this to bring this out on one of my live videos. And Nigon posted the other day, and it was kind of funny, but I wanted to show this. This is an IntelliBlade. This is an IntelliBlade, which was basically a three-strip blade that came out from Nigon in NeoPixels infancy. And basically the three strips just, they fold like that into what was supposed to be this, triple blade. This is actually a an IntelliBlade that was from Nigon. And the sad part about the IntelliBlade from Nigon is, the first soundboard that was going to allow NeoPixels was the Teensy Saber V3, but then the next one was the Igniter. And then Nigon came out with those IntelliBlades, and he was really prepared to corner the market on NeoPixels. But the IntelliBlades didn't work out. He had a manufacturer that hosed him. And then, of course, Scott strayed away from Smooth Swing and went with, he went with Real Swing, and, his health was suffering and things just really didn't work out for him. So it was, it was just sad because that basically, was the end of NEC boards, which I was always loyal to. But, the IntelliBlade was part of the beginning of the end.
That blade heavy?
I'm sorry?
Was that blade heavy?
Well, I don't know. They never worked. I ordered 2 of them and neither of them worked. And it was a lot of money down the drain. And, Scott tried to make it right, but by then it was, you were either building sabers or you were done because everything was going NeoPixel crazy at that point.
Right.
It was just really sad because Scott really had a chance to, to wind up on top, and he got hosed in the whole deal, and it was really sad.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was just really awesome. So I think Rich St. Leo is telling everybody how to install that LS6 Gullwing. So while you and I are yapping, everybody's in the chat going crazy. So that was cool. That was a question between NeoPixel or Baselit. So the next one is, what is your favorite Saber font and why?
Sound fonts. I like, of course, I like K-Sys, some of his old ones. The Ascension, I think it's called. K-Sys Ascension. And his Vader font, of course. Grand Hunter.
The Rogue One Vader, or
what's that?
Which one of K-Sys Vader's fonts?
I can't remember which one it is, to tell you the truth. Vader. Well, his original Vader one is the one you put on my first lightsabers. I love that font.
Oh, that's the Rogue One Vader. That's cool. Hey, Solo Sabers is on there. So everybody say hey to Solo Sabers. Cool to see Solo Sabers here tonight. That's awesome.
Of course, I love K-Sys stuff. I like K-Sys stuff and Mountain Sabers. Mountain Sabers has some good ones. Reva, I think it's called. Reva.
Yeah, Mountain Sabers definitely got some cool fonts. When I just built these cross guards, I've got one of Mountain Sabers fonts on the cross guard, and I'm pretty excited to premiere all that and show it off to the public. Hopefully I'll be shooting those videos on those sabers this weekend. So I got 3 sabers finished for my a longtime customer in Taiwan. I have this flagship, which this is the second time to me. We installed this on one of my live videos, but I had to fix the buttons on there. And then I have 2 Graflexes for him. And then I got to film those videos, and then I want to film the crossguard videos, and that's when I'll be able to show Mountain Sabers font. But that's cool, man. A lot of K-Sith is just an awesome font designer. He is, he's like the OG. I remember when, Smooth Swing was in its infancies, K-Sith was about the only thing going. He was the only one making Smooth Swing fonts. And I had emailed, some existing font makers, and, they decided not to get involved in it. And, if you go and watch my original Graflex proffie video, which was the first proffie ever installed in a Graflex, it was my ESB Graflex video. At the end of that video, I talk about Smooth Swing, and I'm begging these font makers to come on there, because these proffies, that was the first run of proffies. There were like thousands of those boards built, and each board had unlimited fonts, and nobody was making Smooth Swing fonts for them. And I was like, K-Sys going to be laughing all the way to the bank, and the rest of you font makers are going to be regretting it. And the funny thing is those words were pathetic, because the bottom line was all the people that didn't do it, they were playing catch up, and they're still playing catch up, including some of the Saber font makers that I emailed that didn't get involved. Now they're trying to make them, but it's too late. So sorry, so sad, suckers. K-Sys won. And then Kyberphonics jumped in there and went at it too. So, those 2 were huge. And then, along came folks like Mountain Sabers and a bunch of others that are making fonts.
Kyberphonic, Luke Hero, and what is it? Oh, is it his Annie fonts? I love those too.
Yep. Yeah, Kyberphonic definitely has some cool stuff. So, have you ever machined your own hilts?
I have not. I would love to though. I would
know.
love to get in that in the
They're
future.
watching Solo Sabers. He's been machining his own hilts lately, and that's that's pretty awesome. Watching all that happen is pretty awesome.
I tried to build one out of a pipe when I was a kid one time, but didn't work out.
Now I did build one out of a tent pole. I built a tent pole lightsaber. That's on my channel somewhere. I built that for a fellow 501st Legion guy. He found this tent pole and he was like, "Hey, I want to make this into a lightsaber. Can you do that?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure." And he gave it to me and I turned it into a lightsaber. And he's like, "Holy crap, you made it into a lightsaber." And I'm like, "Yeah." I used TCSS parts on it, and that made it all happen. So, but at any rate, I'm trying to scroll down. I'm trying to keep up with the chat while we're in here killing this too. But I know you built an MHS hilt. Do you have that? She can show. There's your MHS hilt. Very simple hilt. Now, if I recall, that paint that's in the grip, I think that was like glow in the dark paint or something.
Yeah, it glows in the dark. You got to shoot a strong light on it for a while, and then it'll stay lit for probably 20 minutes or so. But it's pretty cool. I don't have a light with me, or I'd do it for you. But yeah, it's cool. It's some pigment you put in some paint, and I just use clear coat and put over the black with that pigment in it. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. The MHS sabers, so many people, including Solo Sabers, he's like, "Man, I'm gonna have to get Benji Graham to show me how to do MHS because I don't understand it." And then he just skips all that and he's like, "Screw it, I'm just gonna machine my own." And you're like, "Wow, that's a step skipper right there." He went from MHS to screw that, I'm just gonna make my own, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. MHS is awesome. So what other like lightsaber YouTube channels have you watched Saber stuff on?
I think all of them I've checked out at one point or another. Nerf Herders, and I've checked them all out at one point or another. But I visit the Crucible website all the time. So yeah, I'm trying to be an active member of the Crucible. So.
Yeah, the Crucible is a huge resource if you're doing proffie sabers, that for sure. Ooh, cold weather's checked on. See, they're all coming in, man. That's great. All of our normal faces that are on our Megtooth live videos are all checking in here, and all these people that are checking in live and commenting in the chat, I want them to be on this show in the coming weeks, in the coming months. I mean, this is awesome. And once we get good at this and we know all the regulars, then we can start throwing up multiple people on the screens and having crazy conversations. So Max is asking Bobby. Max asked, what is your tag or what's your handle on the Crucible? What's your screen name?
I think it's Bobby Susenbach, I think.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. Yep. It's Bobby Susenbach.
Now, if you could hang out with anybody in the lightsaber community for a day, anybody, who would it be and why?
That doesn't include Mark Hamill, does it?
Yeah, I mean, Mark Hamill's in the lightsaber community. He owns some of them too. You're Luke Skywalker.
I think, since you've helped me the most, so I'd like to hang out with you for a day, probably.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, we've talked a lot offline, Bobby. I know we have a lot in common. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I wanted, you to be my first guest. So I know we have a lot in common. Yeah. And the fact you work in the aerospace industry is pretty cool because that was like my dream job. So I know we would probably be friends if we lived a little bit closer. We'd probably be hanging out. Yeah. And who do you think's the funniest person in the Saber community that you've ever met?
I guess maybe Benji or
Benji Graham.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, dude. He reminds me of, Benji reminds me so much of Chris Farley, man. He's hilarious. He's a mess. Yeah. He's a freaking mess. So, who inspires you from the Saber community? Who's inspired you?
Besides you, the Ethan guy, I think from East Coast Sabers, he's pretty inspiring. He does some nice work.
Yeah, he was a big inspiration to me too. There's a lot of East Coast Sabers in your TFA Graflex, Bobby. So his instructions lived on in your Saber that I built for you.
But Frederick and FET 263 course, and just everybody's been so friendly and helpful. I haven't found anybody that has shunned me off, or everybody's been very helpful that I've talked to.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the cool part about this community is, you know, I think it's been that way since I first got in it. You know, you had Shamim, and I was a big, huge fan of Shamim, and Shamim made all these videos trying to help people learn what he was doing. And I would watch him, and I watch East Coast Sabers, and, you know, that's how I was learning. And then posting in the forums, and, you know, I was talking directly to Scott DeBoer and to Frederick, like you said. And the funny thing is about Fernando Fett 263 is, you know, Fernando's in the Carolina Garrison with me, and, you know, I helped him build and set up his first Saber, which was Proffie. And, you know, I kind of got Fernando into the open source Sabers, and now, you know, he's nuts. He's writing his own code. He's got his own, you know, prop file that's longer than the OS.
Yeah.
And, you know, every time I'm running his stuff in my Sabers, I'm like, wow, Fernando, you really went amok.
Yeah. You go down some rabbit holes sometimes.
I think even Frederick is like, you know what I mean? He's like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. He's over the top. You know, that's freaking awesome.
And Brian Connor's another one, no sloppy. He's been so helpful.
Yeah, Brian Connor is another guy that's huge helpful. Brian Connor is, I think, a massively underestimated person in the open source community. Brian Connor, for those of y'all that don't know, like, if you have a Saber and
battery level 4.11 volts,
all those sounds that are in edit mode on OS 6 and OS 7 were made by Brian Connor, who's no sloppy on the forums. He did all of those sounds for OS 6 that are free, and they're free to everybody. So that's, you know, that's awesome. Brian Connor is a cool guy. So do you watch any of the Star Wars animated series? I'm not a big animated series kind of guy, but
and I've watched a few of them, and they're pretty good, but I don't regularly watch them now.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see the episode of Rebels that has the duel between Ahsoka and Vader?
I have not. No.
So I actually put a little scene of that in the preview for this video. And if you have not seen that episode, you need to go watch that.
Cool. There's a new one that's on. I can't remember the name of it, but I watched a couple of those. Shows them when they're young or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the oh Lord, the Jedi series. I can't remember what the name of that one was.
I saw the one with Ahsoka on it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, like when she was like a little kid.
Yeah. Yep. The tiger got her, or that tiger.
Yeah, I watched those. I can't remember. I think
it was like, Jedi. That's it.
Yep, that's it. Somebody got it in chat.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't remember what it was, but that series was pretty awesome. I like those.
Yeah.
Now, do you watch any of the live action TV series? And if so, which one is your favorite?
I've seen them all. And you had that part of that scene when Luke came in on the end of The Mandalorian. I mean, that was just as an epic moment in the TV series.
Let me ask you this. Did you cry or not?
Almost.
I cried like a baby.
My daughters were looking at me like, what's wrong with Daddy?
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
I was a freaking mess, man. When I was like, the X-Wing came in, I'm like, nah. And then you see his gloved hand and the hero, and I'm like, they're doing this. How do they keep this secret? That
was the best moment in TV I can remember. So.
That was the best secret that has been since that's the best secret that's been since, you know, no, I am your father, you know, from Darth Vader. Yeah. That was the best secret that's been. Kybertech says, it's so crazy how this community can bring so many people together. I feel like we're all good friends, and I've yet to meet any of you in person. We need a Sabers celebration event. I can't agree more with you, Kybertech Sabers. We definitely do. We definitely need that, you know. Max is like yelling ROTJ on there, ROTJ. So, you know, Mandalorian, of course, is my favorite series. Kenobi was pretty good. The end of Boba Fett was pretty good, but Mando is definitely my favorite so far.
It took a few episodes for me to get into it, but I really like Andor. I thought it was really good.
Oh yeah, Andor's been really good. Like especially like toward the end.
Yeah.
Then it was, but you know, it's like the first 4 or 5 episodes. You're kind of like,
yeah,
it's kind of boring. It's kind of slow. But then as the season went on, you're like, oh man, this is actually awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, that was you know, a pretty cool moment to see. And Andor was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was down with Kenobi, but
So in considering like the animated series and the new live action series, who is your all-time favorite character?
I don't know. That's a good question. Probably Mandalorian or Andor. So.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's Mando. You know, Mando is awesome. So, is there a favorite moment in all Star Wars tales, including the original movies, that stand out to you as your favorite scene? And if so, which one was it?
I think it was Hoth in the cave with the Hoth. So.
Like when Luke was hanging upside down?
Yep, that was it.
And he had to get his lightsaber out of the that's my ESP Graflex.
Yep,
and
that's my
he had to
all-time
get his
favorite.
lightsaber out of the out of the back.
Yep.
And all you saw of his lightsaber was sticking in the snow, and you just saw that. And he reaches out with his hand and grabs the Graflex and ignites it. And yeah, that
the
was
longest of the video. The camera was actually on the lightsaber. You know, the longest amount of time.
Oh yeah, well it's so bad. Like on the Graflex Addict support group, those guys are all like micro-analyzing, you know, how the New York aligns on the cobalt clamp, and you make sure you mount this cobalt clamp so the New York is visible, you know, but it's crazy. And I tried to, at that time I was like listening to them, and actually tried to align my cobalt clamp exactly how they were saying, you know, and I'm like, wow, we're getting kind of anal when we're working that much towards accuracy. But you know, Iron Destiny props, man. He's like one of the big ones about making sure you're accurate on your Graflexes and MPPs and that stuff. He's really, really talented. So what kind of music do you listen to?
Like Tool.
Yeah. I listen to Metallica and stuff like that.
I love Metallica too. I've seen them 13 times. I saw Tool 14 times live.
I actually saw Metallica live on the Master of Puppets tour.
Yeah, I was the next tour, the Damaged Justice tour I saw. So.
Yep, I was in high school on that one, and that was crazy.
My first concert was David Lee Van Halen in 1984. So.
Actually, my first concert was Rat when they had that song "Lay Me Down," and I think Bon Jovi actually opened for Rat. And that was at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland, which doesn't even exist anymore. But it's over there near the Air Force Base where Air Force One takes off from, near Andrews Air Force Base is near where that's Landover, Maryland.
I was a big Iron Maiden fan back then, too.
Hey, you're not the only Tool fan. You know, Ken of the Hill loves them, too. He just posted, Tool rocks. Ken of the Hill is the 501st Legion guy here in North Carolina. Yeah. And you know, he's building his own lightsabers too, so he's a cool guy too.
It's hard to be cool.
Mundo said he's trying to catch up on the Bad Batch. I know that Mundo, I watched one of the episodes, and that episode was crazy sick, man. That thing was awesome. I saw them at the Capitol Center, Rich. Isn't that crazy? So what hobbies and pastimes do you have outside the lightsaber community besides, you know?
Yeah, I do a lot of fishing. I do a lot of fishing, saltwater fishing. I used to skimboard a lot, but I'm a little out of shape now. I can't do that.
I'm working on getting back into shape. What kind of species are you going after in the saltwater?
Usually redfish and trout. I used to go out in the Gulf, but now I do the more laid back fishing in the bays. So.
You're fishing inshore?
Yep.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I do some inshore fishing here, and, you know, we go after redfish and flounder, but the limits on flounders here are like really crazy now. And, you know, I'm hoping this year I get the electronics updated in my boat because I want to get out there and get into the mahi out here in the summertime.
It's always fun because usually when you catch one, you catch 30 of them. So.
Yeah.
The mahi, they're fun to catch. So.
Dude, you're definitely impressing everybody. Everybody's like, oh my God, a Tool fan. And Chet Osborne's like, Cliff Burton was God. You know, Cliff Burton's birthday just passed, and Cliff Burton would have been like 64 or 65, something like that.
He's a hell of a bass player.
Yeah, it was really sad when he died. Rich Sangley, did anybody drop any coin at the TCSS sale? They had a President's Day sale, and if you use the President's Day code, you got 10% off and free shipping. I did. I took advantage of it because I'm actually building a Graflex, and this is actually for a fellow Floridian, and this is a KR Sabers, you know, the Rise of Skywalker Graflex, and I had to order the blade holder from KR Sabers and the chassis. but all the blade components I needed, I ordered from TCSS, but I ordered some other stuff I needed, like some batteries and some things like that. But I ordered two. I ordered two of the pixel sticks, and two blades and everything you need to build blades, the foam and everything. So yeah, I took advantage of it, Rich. I forgot to get word out there that sale was happening, but you know, that was a pretty big sale. Not only that, you got free shipping on orders over $100. Sangilo. I'm sorry, Rich. Sangilo. I'll get it right the next time. So who's your favorite sports team, Bobby?
Well, it's sad to say, but Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins.
I'm about giving up on them, though.
Well, I'm like the only red-blooded American male that doesn't watch football.
It's not my favorite.
Which some of that has to do with my career.
So many years in a row that I quit watching it.
Yeah. Well, I'll get Rich's name right for the next time. Rich is going to build one of those MHS Graphics. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Do you own any pets?
What's that?
Do you own any pets?
No, I do not.
No dogs.
Trying to convince Melissa, my wife, to get a pet, but it's hard. It's a hard sell for her. So.
Do you have any family? You have any kids?
Yeah, I have two kids. I got a 12-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old daughter. Wonderful. So.
12-year-old and 15-year-old. I've got a 15-year-old here at the house, stepdaughter, and it's a challenge. You know, girls are, because like I raised, you know, I have a son and he's 28 and married and he's got his own kids, so I'm already a grandfather. And you know, he wasn't as much of a, you know, girls are a lot different than boys. You know, that, and also, you know, the fact that I'm a dude and I don't even know how to even begin to deal with the girls and the makeup and the drama and the texting and me and Caleb were like, let's go play hockey. Let's go throw a ball to each other.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, you know, brain damaged. You know, boys are brain damaged. They're a lot easier to get along with. Max, we're talking about favorite sports team, and Max is throwing out the Argentinian national football team. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Kyber text yelling about the Cowboys. And Max is saying we're world champions.
I just hope the Dolphins win another Super Bowl before I die, but it's not going to happen, I don't think.
Shoot, man, it's expensive. Hey, Max, don't give away too much, buddy, because we're going to have you on here shortly. He's giving away everything he does. So do you think we'll ever see another Star Wars live-action series of movies again?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I hope so. I hope maybe they change some management or strategies a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. You know, I really thought that TFA, I mean, because I love Kylo Ren. I was like, man, this is such a great character when TFA came out.
Yeah.
And then as the movies progressed, I was like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing to him? Y'all have ruined this. Why did you take his helmet off? Stop taking his helmet off. Stop making him, you know, you're like, what are y'all doing? This was a great character and y'all have just epically ruined it. The coolest part about Vader to me that made him so mysterious is he never took his helmet off. I remember we were kids and debating whether or not he was a human or a robot. But then everybody's pointing, because you could, like, if you remember, like in that last scene where Luke destroys the Death Star, you know, and you know, Han Solo comes in with a Falcon and shoots a TIE fighter and it clips Darth Vader and he goes spinning. And he's trying to get his TIE fighter under control. And as he does, the light's moving around and it hits his eye and you can see one of his eyes through the lens. I'm like, he is a person. He's a person. He's got eyes in there. And, you know, but that was one of the cool things about Vader, was that he was so mysterious because they never took his helmet off. And you're like, how did y'all not learn that lesson when you made all these other Star Wars movies? Hey, Shane, glad to have you. And you're like, wow, how did they mess that up? But yeah, I hope there's a new series, but who, you know, they need to have the crew that's doing Mandalorian and Filoni and Favreau and all them. Those are the ones that need to be in charge of the new movies if they do have them. Those guys know what the fans want, and they know how to do fan service, but give you something totally new that you haven't even seen. You know, I was so hopeful, Rich, before, you know, and sitting here talking to St. Hilo, but you know, I was so hopeful that when you know, when Rogue One came out, I was like, man, this is a great movie. And I was so excited on that. And then the other independent movies after that just weren't as good. And then the series movies, the sequels, you're like, what happened? You know, it just all kind of went amok for me.
There's one scene when Ben's walking around with no shirt on. I was like,
yeah.
What the hell?
It was, look, I mean, I know that's why they took the helmet off the dude, because you can't hire a dude to play a character like that that's as handsome as he is and not show his face, I guess. And then they're showing his body, and you're kind of like, oh, come on now. Vader didn't do that. If Vader did that, he was all sliced up and mangled and nasty, you know. He wouldn't have been like that. But yeah, Rogue One was, one of my all-time favorite movies. And I think we need to get more back into the style of Rogue One and Mandalorian, and less like what we saw in the sequels. And I think that would be a good place to start.
I agree.
So, if they do make another series, like what time frame would you like it to be in? Like before the Phantom Menace, or after the sequels, or somewhere else entirely?
Maybe before A New Hope, or after Jedi.
Before A New Hope or after Jedi.
Yep.
So kind of like in those time frames, you're kind of interested to see what happened.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's one of the cool things about the Mandalorian and the Boba Fett series was, those are in those time frames, and you're like, wow. And so is Kenobi. Kenobi is in that time frame before A New Hope, and you're like, wow, this is what happened before I got to see it, which was pretty cool. Same with
I don't know why, because I didn't read any stuff leading into it, but I thought Kenobi would have more of Luke when he was a child, but it was all Leia, so, which is okay. That was cool too, but I was expecting to see Luke as a child during Kenobi.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see. I don't think that's the last of the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor is way too good to waste on just the episodes we already got. There's got to be more than that, and I really hope they go somewhere else with that. Yeah. Mundo says he would have loved to have seen a movie where Luke meets Mara Jade, and I'm there with you. I was so sad when the Disney took over Star Wars and they announced that the extended universe was no longer part of Star Wars, and I was like, what? No Mara Jade, no Jedi twins. What the hell are y'all doing? And then what's her name? That crazy woman that's the CEO or whatever, the executive producer, Kathleen Kennedy. She's like, we just don't have comic books or anything like that to build the series off of. And you're like going, there's comic books, there's novels, there's fan movies, there's all kinds of stuff that was out there, and you just flushed it all down the toilet. Thanks a lot. And I really think they've dethroned her, but Let's see what Cole said. Cole says, he's team 100-year time jump. He's fine if we keep the droids and the Wookiee, like if they keep on living, but he wants to go 100 years beyond everything else. I'm kind of there with you, Cole. I'm cool with that too. So, Bobby, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
As far as sabers go?
As far as life, sabers, job, where you're living?
I hope I'm a proficient saber installer by then. But and I hope I can be able to help the community, like you said, play it forward. But just hope to be more proficient and have more skills, I guess, when it comes to building sabers. And hopefully I can start thinking about retirement by then.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty close. I'm 2 years away from retirement, and I'm kind of in the same. I think both you and I both have pretty demanding jobs, demanding of our time, demanding of our energy. And by the time I get home, it's really hard for me to sit down at the workbench and spend hours building sabers. I wish that I had, the kind of time like Solo Sabers does to just do it, but I think he's doing it full time. I would love to build sabers full time because I would be surrounded by lightsabers constantly. But, what about, when are you going to stop watching Star Wars stuff and grow up?
Never.
Never. Were you able to convince your daughters to watch Star Wars?
Yeah, they liked it. They used to like it anyway. They don't much care about it anymore, but they're 12 and 15 years old, so they have other things on their mind now.
That's awesome. So Last question for the night, and then we'll open it up to the viewers to see if they have any questions for you. And that is, you know, and put Mundo's thing back up there. Is do you think Benji Graham is funny from Nerf Herders Customs?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's a total mess. So I'm going to open up the floor to all our viewers now, and I think we have about 14 or 15 viewers on. And if any of y'all have any questions for me or Bobby, we'll try to answer them while we're here. And I'm kind of looking. I think Mundo's asking. You would think Mundo's asking. You would think as a feminist as Kenny is, she would go for a Mara Jade movie. Yeah, I kind of agree. She was of the opinion like, hey, there was not been any female heroes in Star Wars, and I'm thinking, hello, duh. Who the hell is that? That's Leia right there. So come on, bullshit. There's always been, oops, sorry, I cussed. There's always been female heroes in Star Wars.
Equality in every fashion. So.
Yep. And then, when she got rid of the extended universe and characters like Mara Jade, she definitely screwed us for sure, because I think we missed out on all those opportunities to meet the Jedi twins and to watch Luke training, these young Jedi, and to see his relationship with Mara Jade and how all that evolved, and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and we missed out on all that. Now they've brought some of it back in, and I really keep hoping Filoni will just I'm kind of like where Cole's at, maybe that Filoni and Favreau will do a harder race and maybe go back and rethink some of what Kathleen Kennedy did, because to be honest with you, she did not know anything about Star Wars, and that's what
all they had to do is ask Lucas what he would have done. So.
I mean, it's not that difficult. And Kathleen Kennedy obviously strayed from that, or either that or George Lucas went mad and she paid attention to him. Who knows? But at this point, I'm kind of like in Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, I trust, and I don't even know if I trust George Lucas anymore. But so I'm still looking to see if anybody's got any questions for us here as we're winding down. And I think it's been a good show. And in the coming weeks, I said I was going to do these bi-weekly, but, this show seemed to flow pretty simply, and I'm kind of wanting to go ahead and continue this. So we're probably going to continue this next week, and I'll talk to Mountain Sabers offline, and then we'll start following up with Cole and Mundo and Kybertech Sabers and Max and everyone else, and get them on in the coming weeks. But Bobby, it's been awesome to see you here tonight on this stream, and it's been a fun time. It's been enlightening. We learned some stuff about each other. Everybody learned about you, and hopefully you can tune in and chime in on the chat as we have some more of our, Saber nerds in the coming weeks join on these live streams.
It's a great community, and I appreciate all that you've done to help me. So you've helped me greatly, and very unselfish in providing all this content. And most of the people in the community are very unselfish. So it's a good thing.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. And thank you, Mountain Sabers and Mundo and Max and everyone else, Ken of the Hill, Rich, everyone else that's joined in tonight, all of our regular viewers. Benji says he'll meet us down at the Waffle House for a beatdown. Yeah, that's funny. We have to put that up there. I'm going to put that up there for good. Yeah, I mean, Benji will, he's going to get you. He's crazy. I had a scroll that I was going to put on there. Let me go. Hang on a minute. Here you go. That's for Benji. Benji didn't even show up tonight, so I'll put that scroll on there. Benji Graham is a kook, bro. We'll put on that. We'll put that on there for Benji. So, I'm gonna try to get in the chat down here and post what I always post in the chat as we're closing these things out in honor of our long lost Saber nerd that doesn't show up anymore. Hashtag nerd up. And that's for our buddy. Everybody knows where that's coming from. And hashtag nerd up means be nice to people and pay forward your knowledge and help people out when you can. And, Birchie would want us all to treat each other with respect, and hashtag nerd up. And thank you all for tuning in to the first episode of Saber Nerds. And hopefully we'll see you again next time. And, hang in there. But don't leave yet. And we'll be here when they're out. So we'll see the rest of you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,